Hello, everybody, and
So,
welcome. It's like 2 weeks in a row, dude.
right?
Something's wrong.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Starting a
but
habit.
you're right. I know.
You
Crazy.
don't know how to feel when you got time a little bit.
A
Don't
little
get
bit.
used to that,
Yeah,
right?
I'm about to say you
Nope.
got about 2
It-
days.
yep, exactly. 2 days. Be on a bus Saturday morning.
I'm about to say it's y'all's first one down there, right?
Yep. Percussion Premier Week for SEGC. So we get to kick it off. We are the first percussion group of the year. You're ready to blow SEGC up.
I'm about to say with an 87.8. What?
dropping impulse numbers.
Right.
No,
Impulse literally be like,
So, but yeah, this is another episode of Perc Talk, and I'm sure we'll talk about some indoor stuff here in a little bit. But yeah, my name's Sid. Got Will with me today. We also got another special guest with us, Mr. Orinzie Mitchell.
what up?
So, we met this cat during SCGC in the circuit. Just kind of.
So yeah, that was
I'm trying to figure. Yeah, I was trying to figure out myself. I was like, man, when was that?
11, 12 maybe.
That sounds about right. Because our first year was 2008.
So I know we stepped in with Kinesis in.
Let me try.
It could have been as early as 12, honestly, and then. I stepped to Sapa for a bit and then Jeepa just because everything was closer here. And
it might have been before then, man.
It might have. Well, let's see.
I'm thinking like single digits. Like
I was with so I was with Chattanooga Independent in 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
8 was when they didn't come out, and I did some stuff in 8, but I don't think I made it fully into the season in 8. So it could be as early as like 9 or 10.
I almost said 9, but it might have been 9 actually. If it wasn't 9, it makes me think 12.
What was Russellville's show? Do you remember what Russellville's show was?
Hey, that's hilarious because I'm sitting here. You can't see it on my phone, but I'm looking at Russellville shows because I was like, I know it had to been Russellville, so I'm like, did you? I feel like because if so, you would have been. It'd have been me, you, and Nick because we did a day at the office. From the TV show Day at the Office. Do you remember an imagination show? Because I took over during Lucid Dreams. Before we did.
I remember Lucid Dreams.
And that's why I was thinking 2012.
Yeah, I remember Lucid Dreams like straight up. Yes, I was there for Lucid Dreams. Anything before that?
Because I know Nick knows you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out like when we kept it consistent.
Yeah, because when I started SCGC, I was there pretty consistently. That first year I went out as Chattanooga Independent A, I believe, or whatever, because they had folded the year before, and that was a whole mess about who had the name. Nobody really owned the name, but they were like, well, we're going to keep using the name later. So I was like, that's fine. I was going to drop it anyway. And then Kinesis hit. Kinesis, that could have been 9. I'm trying to think of, do we remember anybody else's shows? What was Mystique's show in 9?
In 9, let's see, Mystique.
Because we didn't go up to Worlds any, so I couldn't tell you. Like I would have had to have seen it on circuit.
Was Requiem.
Oh yeah, because they do that buzz row from Jesus.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure you were doing it was strictly Kinesis around that time.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that would have been 11 or 12 was 5, I think. When was 5?
For us?
Yeah.
Well, it was our
That'd
fifth
have been
year,
East.
so that would have been 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 2012 should have been 5. I'm
Let
looking
me
at
look up.
I'm looking at the 2009 results right now. Um,
Okay, it had to be at least 10. It was at least 2010 because Mystique did Fantastique in 2010,
Mm.
and I remember Fantastique on season, not just
Okay,
doing
so
whatever.
that'd have been Shades of Blue, and
mhm.
then
Yeah, okay. No, it was 9. It was 9. As I'm looking at the uniforms from 9, and yeah, it was 9.
that sounds about right.
Because Steven was
2009,
marching tenors. Like Steven was marching tenors that year, and he was one of the Chattanooga Independent kids who ended up going up to Mystique
man.
and doing some stuff. So yeah, that would have been 9. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 9 was when we were on to like on season for consistently. I couldn't tell you like what that show was at all. Like I know what most of our shows have been, and not by year. I can tell
Mhm.
you just we did this show, we did this show, we
Right,
did this
right.
show. But like I couldn't tell you by year, but I couldn't tell you what our show was that in 9 at all. Like at all. See, 11 would have been until 1 for us, and that was the year I had. It's probably my biggest line, honestly. No, I had another year, another line decently big then, but yeah, we've always like I can generally figure it out by who was on what drums and the size of the line because we were generally small. Like the biggest I think I might have had 5 snares one part of 1 year, but
Mm.
kids flake.
I know that's
And
right.
I think I always started out with 5 basses and never had more than I've never had 5 basses at more than premiere weekend. Like the kid always quit after premiere weekend.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the kid is like, I didn't know it was gonna be every weekend. But when I tell
Oh,
you
oh
things
my
like it's
god.
every weekend,
Oh my
when the
god.
words "it is every weekend" is the first thing I tell you, and I know it's the first thing I tell you because that's one of the problems we have in the area.
Mm.
And so when I tell you this is every weekend because we do one or two in November, 1 or 2 in December, and then I'm like, and then when January hits, it's every
Hmm.
Saturday, like show or rehearsal,
Hmm.
and like I know I tell my kids that all the time because that's one of the
Hmm.
pitches we do, that's part of the pitch. Gives you something to do every weekend. You're gonna be here drumming. You're gonna get better. You're gonna go back to your school and be a monster. Like that's
Hmm.
part of the pitch. But yeah, every year at premiere after premiere, I have a kid somewhere tell me they didn't know that it was going to be every weekend.
so you kind of gotten into this a little bit. So like, kind of tell us like a little bit like how you wanted to get into it because like we've kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on because you ran an independent program. You kind of did it with bare minimum like help and stuff like that. And of course, I've been there from a scholastic end of that, but it's a little bit different because I have the school support system a
Hmm.
little bit. But you kind of started just from scratch. So kind of tell like how did all that come about?
So I was at Chattanooga Independent, and there we had all kinds of backing, right? We had UTC was helping out with some stuff. Some of the staff at UTC, director wise, was kind of helping be a director at CI, and then we had people coming in. I ain't naming names because I ain't
You
naming
good?
names.
You ain't got to.
But I said we had a lot of people come in. We had a lot of staff, and we had the first year an A group and an open group. and open. I mean, let's just be honest and call it what it is. When you generally have an open and an A group, or a world and an open group, or whatever the feeder program is in the main program,
Mm-hmm.
all your good people are going to go to the main program,
Mm-hmm.
and all your main staff is going to be at the main program, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so we were all, it was a lot of music majors at UTC, a lot of percussion majors at UTC or whatever. And so we were all just like, yo, do you have any kind of experience, or are you wanting to do this? Come teach, come whatever. And I just kind of hung out and did some stuff with basses and cymbals that first year. And then the next year, that would have been 6, I believe. 7, we just had the one group. And then 8, they were just like, we're not doing this anymore. We're kind of folding or whatever. And 8 was when, I'm trying to think if I student taught in 8 or whatever, but I was just like, this is something the area needs.
Mm-hmm.
And also, no offense to the old staff stuff or whatever, I always have worked with smaller schools, lesser programs, so on and so forth. The kids who don't have the money or the ability or the time commitment, um, to go do that. So that kind of, once CI folded, and that first year, like I said, I kind of kept it going, and then they were just like, yo, we're gonna keep using the name. We're gonna come back out. Cool, fine, no problem. Stepped away from that, and that's when I was decided to do Kinesis, actually, as Kinesis. And so it really just got to be I'm not going to say it's community outreach, because it definitely wasn't specifically that, but I pulled from some of the schools or some of the lesser programs, some of the kids who are good enough to play, but not necessarily good enough to go make any of the bigger lines, and kids that were just wanting to drum and, in essence, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's got to be like that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we got better, we pulled better kids, but I feel like we never got past that. But part of that is, like you were talking about earlier, it was me. I had some parents that would help on show days, move stuff around, drive us to shows, whatever. And my parents were pretty supportive in that aspect. Like, they made sure we could get to shows. I had a lot of parents drive. My wife drove as an extra vehicle, stuff or whatever. But as far as staff goes, it was me. So I was struggling. Like, $200 was the max I think I ever even attempted to charge for dues and like stuff. But I was struggling with that, because I painted our floor, or the kids helped paint the floor and stuff or whatever. But like I said, I basically painted the floor. There were plenty of nights I was over at one of the schools I was at, 3 o'clock in the morning, baby powder on the floor on a Saturday, so that Sunday I could go in at some point in time and fold it.
I know that.
And but like, I didn't have money for us to buy a show and to pay circuit dues and all that stuff, because I had a lot of kids who just honestly couldn't afford the $200. Pay me what you can. We'll make do it, whatever. So I wrote show, I wrote drill. Uniforms, we either did, like, one year we did hoodies, but we did cut off the sleeves. Actually, ended up kind of looking like the Mystique Requiem
yeah, I was about to say,
uniforms. Like, it ended up looking sort of like that. But I mean, that's the idea. Bivers, I was at one of my main schools, and the school was decently supportive. I'm not gonna say they like backed everything, but we had an extra gym. I could get keys, or they would either let me in on Saturday, or I could get a key for the extra gym, and we'd go rehearse in the gym and in the band room.
That's the most important thing. A lot of people don't understand. You ain't got no facility. You ain't got no group.
Yeah, 100%. Like, one year we didn't have the gym. I made a floor that technically worked in a 41 by 42 inch, 42-foot square. Like, that's what I had. That's the space I had. We pushed the front ensemble up against the front wall and pulled. I don't know if y'all remember the show I did where we did the book that folded.
Yeah.
That was I didn't have the space, so I had to come up with a show that had a small floor.
See.
So having the book actually fold meant that for the first part of the show, I cut my floor in half.
Yeah.
But that was the space I had.
But man,
So
you work with what you got.
yeah,
I know that's
me.
right.
And so yeah, so that being the case, it just kind of got to that point, and then we just kind of set on it because I was at the school. I had access to, like I said, facilities or a version of facilities, and just kept it around. The kids, like I said, the kids were having fun. We weren't really going out and expecting to win. Like I would get a lot of flack from certain people because those kids are paying their money for nothing. They're not going out. You're not winning. You're not having a good show. You're not da 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 da. And I'm like, look at the faces of my kids. I can show you when they started in my group and when they aged out in my group.
Mm.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you get it. We all at some point we all want to win. We like to win. It's nice knowing that you achieve the highest of whatever competition and whatnot. But if your single standard is that, it gets difficult. I know in some sports, I mean, there is nothing else.
Yeah.
Like you can't have this kind of mentality playing football. I mean, we're here to just be a good team. No, that don't work. You gotta get to the Super Bowl. But for us at least, it's bigger than the win. And
Yeah.
you'll realize that because what a lot of people don't seem to understand is a lot of these groups have teachers who come from groups who didn't win but now are. And there are a lot of kids who go on and use this kind of education and just mold that this activity brings. And I mean, you're talking about a bunch of doctors. You're talking about people who I know people who write music for movies. Who
Yeah.
I mean, people who go on and do lawyers and stuff. Like, I mean, it's way deeper than a lot of people think it is.
Well, and like that's something I like to point out, and I try to point out too. I've got kids in my group who marched 5, 6 years in my ensemble,
Mm.
who once they got out of high school, never picked up another pair of sticks except for indoor.
Yeah.
Who through college, going to one of my favorite kids, and she's not gonna be watching, but I'm not gonna embarrass her by tell her name or whatever. But literally one of my favorite students, was going to Emory,
Mm.
and would come up on the weekends just for indoor, or when we go, we had shows that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drive, come up Friday night, rehearse, do whatever, go to the show Saturday, and then to stay and going back home or going back to campus after the show on Saturday. But did not play in band, did not once she got out of school, never played again, And that thing is like I deal with a lot of the kids I deal with because I teach at private schools and that kind of stuff in the area too. A lot of these kids aren't going to look at music again when they get out of high school. But they still come back for indoor. Like they still come back for whatever. So like saying we got to go win, that's not the mentality of the kids I deal with. So like I couldn't even if I wanted to have that attitude in the ensemble,
And I don't want people to get it wrong or anything about not having a drive to want to win or something like that. And when it does help, especially some programs, I mean, they start seeing their school or even independent, they get sponsorships. Oh, this is a winning group. Well, let's try this out on y'all, or this, that, and you do get things from winning. It's like, I mean, look at the Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is on every commercial now. So it's like you get stuff when you do great things, and I'm not trying to deteriorate. What I'm just saying is there are just so many other things that go along with it that people miss because they get either blindsided or distracted from those wins, and they think that that's what the main goal is, or whatever.
Unless you win something big, like your
Yeah,
circuit championship or WGI, they're not going to remember those first place trophies at those little local shows.
at the local shows, they're not. Nobody is, and barely anybody. Well, and this is like on, especially on our main podcast. We talk about this group a lot. I mean, you can look at Avon High School, and it's almost like it doesn't matter what any of these schools have done in WGI. Everybody know Avon.
Yeah.
Avon is well known in every single thing that is banned, like everything, and that's difficult to do. But I'm telling you, man, they got so many kids that go to doing other things, and you know, can look back and say, man, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I get that, you know, I get that a lot. One of my kids is working for Coke now. And every once in a while I'll just get a remember at the show when we you know, and that just starts the conversation. Remember at that show when somebody did something, you know, kind of thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for me, it's hard for me to preach when, because I know the kids that I deal with, it would take something that they don't have the time to give, and they don't have that effort to give to get to that point, as much as it is go get better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking about if you don't win like something big, people don't remember. I mean, William, we used to talk about this all the time at shows. If I caught you, whatever, like that's part of the problem with the activity. Like I will say that's part of the problem with the activity, because like so many groups do get sponsored, but the groups that are getting sponsored are the ones that already don't have these issues and the ones who already don't have these problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't get sponsored, like a little group getting a symbol sponsorship from Zildjian, from Pleischter, from whoever,
Mm-hmm.
in a smaller group helps out a smaller group way more than it does
Mm-hmm.
any big group that has that sponsorship.
Because there's a lot of it's so tough, because you know a lot of these big groups, you know, will tell you, you know, we struggle too. We gotta finance this and finance that. I think where the difference lies is that you were at the end of the day, you're still in a better position than
Yeah.
we are. You're in a better position in everyone's eyes, and even financially. Even though you're still having your troubles, you're still going to be financially better. Man, when I really started to getting deep into East. And really started realizing, okay, we don't have nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
and you know, taking over Russellville. By the time I did, I mean, a lot of people don't really know, and Seth can attest to this, to his own group, man. We came out of our own pockets for a lot of stuff.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this. The bases I have at Kinesis were mine, not the school's.
I believe it.
The snares I've used at Kinesis to make my cut down shorties and my 13s, I borrowed one from the school. The rest of them are mine. Like I have them in my other office right now because they are physically my drums that I bought because of that.
Yeah.
One of the marimbas is my marimba, my vibraphone, like
and then
the sound system.
One of the last independent groups I worked with, one of the head guy, he bought everything.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like all this stuff came out of his pocket. I was like, "Woo!" First of all, I'm glad you got it like that. But
and that's the thing is, I ain't got it like that. But I'm also I will hustle. I will find a deal on Facebook somewhere. I'll catch a, you know, my marimba. A kid's parents were selling. He went off to LSU and went to school and played at LSU. But they had an old Musser that they bought him to practice on at home. And then he went off to school and had been gone for like 3 years. I was like, he has a school, I remember at school, he's not going to come home, doesn't use it, whatever. And we caught that on sale for like a ridiculous deal. And we drove from Chat down to Auburn and picked it up. Like,
worth it.
Yeah. But yeah, like, and like you said, I understand that big groups have their own problems, but rarely, like you said, they're still in a better position. Like, big groups are going to get the visual recognition. We talked about me. I know we just talk about watching the little groups. Like watching all the small groups that are having some trouble doing whatever, and like, it still comes down to that. Like, I remember one year in the lot at Sapa, may have been at Jeepa, but it was whoever it was. Like, Q2 was set up right beside us, and was blasting their whole, like, their front ensemble. They had their whole system just cranked, and we couldn't even warm up. And like, by the end of it, some of the stuff they were doing was pretty funny because they were doing In the Air that year. And so they just kept on playing the I Can Feel It part from Phil Collins or whatever, like just over and over. And it got funny. Like, it was funny because sometimes you'd be trying to do something and you just hear I Can Feel It in the background over everything else that's going on.
Right.
But the other side of that is, even with it being Q2, like, tons of folks were there watching, and like, the groups were right beside them couldn't rehearse because kids were in the way from watching Q2, or just because everybody was there watching them. And so just getting the eyes on the smaller group, I feel could help out a lot too. But yeah, like the sponsorship thing, it cost a company less to sponsor 4, 2, and 4 than it does to sponsor 9, 5, and 6. And
problem
so
is they want to be associated with a winner, though. That's the
that's the hard thing about it. They want because they know, and these sponsorships and these companies, commercials, they know what they're doing, because you get it to these groups like RCC or somebody, and they're going to draw a crowd every single time, no matter where they go. They're going to draw a crowd.
And you're going to see their drums.
People are going to see those symbols. You're going to see the logos. You're going to see all of that stuff. Oh, who's playing what? Who's playing what? And I was in the comment section on Instagram with somebody who was trying to figure out what tenor sticks Mystique was using and stuff like that. And it's like they watching this stuff. And they're looking at these because it's like, oh, it's that group, and it's like, oh, I wonder what they play, and blah blah blah. It's like, and they want to emulate that. John Mates got his stuff coming out, man, and everybody's trying to cop those, and it's, it's tough. But then you do that for a little group, and
you're not going to get the eyes. You're not going to get.
And then it's tough. But it's like they have to still find some kind of balance. It's kind of like, I feel like it's almost like the dude that gave us Mapex shirts. It's like,
I was getting ready to kind of mention that, just because it was fun with the Mapex stuff. It was just like, I'm not on the Mapex team or anything. Like, we're innovative, but like, we were just sitting in the lot, and then these dudes just come over, and it's just like, hey, what's going on? It's like, they're like, we're with Mapex, and we see you guys use the drum. Like, we want to get you guys T-shirts. Okay.
I know.
It's like, that's cool, I guess. So the kid, it made our kid, because we're one of the smaller groups in the lot at Worlds, and we're just like, all right, well, we're here. Let's have some fun. And then Innovative would do that. It's just, I think we broke some mallets one year up at Dayton, and we needed a new pair.
Yeah.
One of the IP reps came by and was like, "You guys need anything?" He was like, "Actually, we need a pair of 5 mallets." He was like, "Let me run to the truck." And the kid's like, "Is that what it feels like to be like important?" I was like, "I guess so." And he came back. He's like, "Here's 2 pair." I was like,
And see, and that's the other thing is like I have not been sponsored in any way like that. One, because I truly believe I don't believe any one company has made the best pair of everything.
Mm.
And so plus the other thing is if I'm the one buying all this stuff, I'm buy what I can get, what I think is gonna be best and easiest for me to get a
Yeah.
hold of at any given point in time. Um, but yeah, like, for the longest time, one of my kids at my private school, well, the last private school I was at, marched with System Blue tenors
Mm-hmm.
because a couple of folks there when I was trying to get stuff done and get the order put in were just like, "What do y'all need?" I remember seeing you on circuit doing other stuff or whatever. What do y'all need? Now, granted, it wasn't like free drums, but I'd like to think that I got his order expedited because it
Mm-hmm.
came through a lot quicker than it would have once the stuff was wrong with it. I was like, "Yo, this is what's going on with it," and they sent me replacement parts like immediately. Like I didn't have to pay for anything or whatever. When we're at shows, we like at I went up to WGI the year we all ran into each other at WGI. Like took me over to the System Blue booth, gave me a free T-shirt, gave me a whole bunch of stuff or whatever. So, and like I get it, you're not going to get the eyes on everybody, with the little stuff or whatever. But like that stuff helps. It just helps more, right? Like I don't know about Innovative's stick thing. I don't know how they handle their sponsorship as far as that stuff goes, but I do see a lot of smaller groups have Innovative stick sponsorship stuff than I do anybody else because I mean they're just out of Nashville, right? Like they're around everybody, so to speak. And I know that they do. When Henry was there for the longest time, if I had any problem with anything, I could just be like, and I wasn't sponsored, but I could just be like, Henry, we have this stick and this broke. Here's how it broke. I'll show him whatever. And he'd go to the booth and grab me another pair of sticks and replace them right then and there at a show.
Mm-hmm.
Or kind of thing. So like I do want to give shout outs to Innovative, that stuff, whatever. But I don't know how their sponsorship goes. I just know that being on the end, the small end of that stuff, it just helps out so much more because I know if I personally didn't find drums for sale, like I had a kid, a former student who sold me the first 13-inch snare that I had for the indoor line. And I borrowed other ones from the school I was at because we had 13s and we only marched 2 people, but we had a third snare there. So, like, if that hadn't happened, there might have been a year we didn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I didn't come across a vibraphone, and I think I ordered my vibraphone new because I just wanted a new Adams vibraphone, and at that point in time, I ain't gonna say I had the money laying around because I didn't, but the money turned up and I got a new a vibraphone or whatever. But like, if it wouldn't been for that, I wouldn't have had another. I would have had another kid not in my ensemble. Like for the longest time, I was playing. I had 2 marimba players, and we had a marimba. One just had to stay on the top half, one had to stay on the bottom half, and it would be a marimba, a xylophone, a vibe, and a bell, and that was my front.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um. So I do want to shout out to Innovative for doing that with sticks and stuff or whatever. But overall, like I said, there was just I know the returns aren't there, and I can't tell a multi-million-dollar business how to run their business because A, I've never ran one, and B, I ain't running theirs. So
it's
I feel like I don't have any say so there.
it's crazy in a sense, and like I said, I think they take a lot of models off a lot of other group people because I think at the end of the day, what really happens is like I don't know. It's like you take McDonald's, you give LeBron James and McDonald's ad, and then what happens? All the little people start buying,
Yeah,
so they see the big people get it, and that's where the rep because we're the ones really supplying. Think about it. The ones up at the top, it ain't enough of them to
yeah.
really give in the revenue. So it's the ones at the bottom who see that and they're like, "Oh, cool, okay, such and such got them. Well, now let me go look at it and get it."
They got these and they won. So if we get them,
See,
I was,
It's
I was gonna
it's
say
a trickle down effect.
how many kids do you see walking around a parking lot at a drum corps at a WGI show with a pair of sticks because so and so line uses them?
Right?
All the time.
So, I mean, it's just, and that's one reason. Like, you know, we kind of just discussed, kind of going full circles. Like, that's one reason why they use the bigger groups, more eyes on it, and it's the. I don't want to say it's free advertisement, but like, you
It
know,
is.
use our
It is,
stuff.
yeah.
In
Yeah,
a
use our
sense.
stuff, and you know, if you have some success with it, cool, and people will see you using our stuff, and so that's kind of what it is. But they also, like you said, they know their money is made with everybody else buying it because they see other people use it.
Yeah.
So you know they didn't none of these companies got to where they were by making bad decisions. And if they
Yeah.
did, they're still not they're not around anymore.
I
So
mean, and that thing is like, and that ends up. I don't know about y'all, but like for me, that ended up pricing me and my group out of a lot of stuff because like there were multiple times when we needed better drums. My bass drums in there aren't the best bass drums. I need new rims now on them, but I mean, because so and so is using new model bass drum, then like that's what you got to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it just ends up pricing, or you get somebody's used stuff. That's another thing. 'Cause I know I was at a show and I don't remember who it was talking. And if I do, I'm not naming names because I ain't getting my people's business. But I heard somebody talking about them being sponsored and that they could take and sell the line they just got like last season. Like they said, they could sell it for 17, 18,000 and still make a profit on it because of the discount they got with the sponsorship.
Hmm.
And like that still just prices me out of it.
yeah,
And it's hard to go in unless the lines are like really small. And I mean I've marched 2, 2, and 4. Like that's my, and then maybe two cymbals, I think is my small line as far as battery goes. And unless you go in, you find somebody who wants to go in and split up tenors with you, because you're going to get 5 tenors in a set like that.
Mm-hmm.
So unless someone wants to split tenors with you and split the snares up in between 2, 3, 4 groups, marching two, if you're marching 3 snares or 4 snares a pop, you're getting 2 of them. But then you can't split a bass line.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say, hey, I'll take bass 1, 3, and 5, and you take 2, 4, and 6, and then um, so like it still just ends up pricing themselves out of it. That's another thing. Like I will say, when I was looking at getting new drums at my school and I was looking at System Blue stuff, I was talking to them about it. I was just like, our school marches 13-inch drums. We don't have a big enough program to worry about 14s, kids on the smaller size. I need 13-inch drums. And they were like, we don't make 13-inch drums for System Blue. It was like, I have an RCC video here on my computer in front of me. They are marching 13-inch drums. And the reply was, how many do you need?
Wow.
That kind of stuff helps out a program way more than like I don't think they realized how much they were helping me out at that point in time. Now we ended up not having the money to get new drums, and then a new band director came in, and it is what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But like that kind of stuff, even if it's not full on sponsorship of hey, here's cheap and free drums or whatever, like just being able to say I need this, and then say the normal spiel if we don't make that, because they don't make a 13-inch System Blue snare drum. But when I was like, there was a 13-inch System Blue snare drum because it was was it 18 that RCC did listen.
18?
I, I normally am too, but like I was up at finals that year, so I think it was 18. Um, the year they had the kid playing
Yeah.
the trumpet and so whatever.
Yep.
I
2008.
think those are 13-inch snares because I think they're a 10 lug drum. Um, And Pearl, for the most part, because I think they're the only ones who really do 13s. Does Mapex do a 13? I don't remember. Anyway, most 13-inch snares are 10 lug drums, and most 14s are 12 lug drums. And so, like, just the fact that I could say, and I have zero pull, right? Like, this is not. I'm not Scojo going, hey, I need a 13-inch drum. This is random dude from chat. I'm buying 3 snares max from you for my program. I'm gonna get 3 snares, 2 tenors, and 4 basses. Like that's the big line for what I'm dealing with. But for me to be able to say I need a 13-inch drum, and you give me the normal, we don't make that. And when I say I've seen them, I really need one, for you to say how many do you need, or let me talk to some people or whatever, helps out a program so much more than RCC getting 9 snares, 5 tenors, and 5 basses, But yet again, like what we were talking earlier, eyes. I'm not gonna put near as many eyes that are gonna buy drums from you as RCC is. That's Broken City going from Yamaha to Tama, Blue Coat's going from Yamaha to Tama. But we know if Blue Coat's doing it or Broken City's doing it. Like we just know this. Before that, Tama was who? Chino? No,
Tama
Chino.
drums was
Tama was
Ayala.
Ayala. That's what I was thinking. Chino, but I was like, no, Ayala.
They on
Because
Mapex now.
Yeah, I mean, and then them jumping to Mapex, which Mapex was smart and just Mapex got their name out there. Honestly,
they did it right because it was the sole reason why I went and got them for Ease. I was like, these drums are it. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't 100% sold yet on the keyboards because I was such a I've always been a Yamaha freak on keyboards, but they've grown tremendously on me. But them drums, man, they just it was like probably the most crisp sound and easiest to tune drum that I've worked with, and I've dealt with Yamaha Dynasty. I think no Dynasty. We had Dynasties at Greenwood. I'm trying to think if a group I had pearls. I can't really remember.
See, I'm a Pearl. I'm a Pearl guy when it comes to that.
But Mapex is about gonna be as close to pearls you're gonna get.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And everything just everything just worked. It was so easy, and a lot of it had to do, especially with the tenor, because they bless their hearts, they just could not get them on the hooks, and them snares they just slide straight on. But yeah, I've been Team Mapex since then.
But I mean, so yeah, but then like you said, that stuff that just works. There are tons of reasons for that stuff. I just know that being in smaller groups and stuff or whatever, like I feel like that's the kind of stuff that smaller groups need. Like if I could go and say, Adams, I need 2 marimbas. Not that you got to drop everything for whatever's going on and give me my 2 marimbas, but if you could just like if they could do things like make sure the smaller groups can get what they need, like the year X did Stand By Me. I know a lot of people weren't happy with Dynasty because their orders got pushed back or to the side or whatever because X needed 3 snares that year, 2 snares for every snare drummer that year.
Yeah, I think they all.
And I know people that I personally know people that were like, our order was in, it was supposed to be shipped, that happened, and they're like, you're not getting your drums until September, October now. And they're like, the season's over with.
I think some I want to say some uniform companies kind of used to do that, but I don't also know how first come first serve works, or if they really are just catering. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Creative Concepts is really good about first come first serve, because Creative Concepts, when you go to look at
Mm-hmm.
their stuff and to put in their order, they have you a calendar and they're like, this is already blocked out.
Mm-hmm.
This is when you're going to get them. This is already blocked out because this is what we have coming in. And but it's also like a, we don't start it until we get either down payment or whatever. Which, that's somebody that I want to also just throw salute to or whatever, is Creative Concepts and design, creative costuming or whatever they are. When I did guard uniforms with them for my high school, like, they worked with me like I was a big group and was on top of all that stuff for what I needed when I needed it. Emailed
Mm-hmm.
them in. I was like, here's the drawing. I wanted the modification of this uniform you already do. Here's the stuff we want to add on. Here's what that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, within like a day or two, had sent back their rendition of it with, here's the materials we're using on these sections. Here's like just that kind of stuff or whatever, and was instantly like done. And then they were like, this is your time frame. This is when we get these in. And like, I know that some other groups I work with who do that kind of with some of the other uniform places are just like, what's the minimum order you need? That's not enough. We have to put you on the extra side, or when we have the time, just that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And like small groups, like, I'm not going to order 50 uniforms from you. I'm going to order 6. If it's a guard, I'm going to order 8.
Mm-hmm.
My indoor group is almost, it's between 18, like 18 to 20 is my normal number for my indoor group, because that's all I can physically handle.
Mm-hmm.
At max it's 12 on the floor, and then I might have 6 or 8 in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Four boards, a drum set, maybe an auxiliary or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not ordering 35, 40, 50 from you. I'm ordering 20. I'm ordering 12. I'm ordering, 8, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just to circle back around to stuff, like the fact that we didn't mention and talk about uniforms and everything, but that's one of those things that is just, can be make or break for a small group too.
Sure.
I mean, we borrowed bibbers from my school because the school got new uniforms, so they had old bibbers that were still at the school. And that's how I had bottoms for like every year I did it. I did a group.
I've been down that road.
Oh yeah, we patchwork quite a few uniforms at a time.
Bang.
I think, for anybody that's kind of watching this and this kind of has a small group or anything like that, or just anybody in general that wants to start a group, um, don't get don't get caught up in trying to be everything your first year.
Yeah.
Your first year should be about making sure the kids have a good experience, educational experience, as well as a social experience as well, because it's a great activity. I know when I started it, we were a middle school group, and for me it was like I wanted to change the culture of the high school percussion section. Um, there were some kids there that had some talent, but they didn't want to work hard. They just wanted to. It was just cool to be a drummer, but it wasn't really a priority to be a good percussionist.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to change the culture. So, I showed some videos to my middle school kids. I was like, what do you think about that? I was like, that's cool. Like, want to do one? Yeah. So, so we got our little 12 and 13-year-old butts on the floor. And the cool thing about it was they didn't know any better. So they didn't know that some of the things that I were asking them to do
was
were
illegal.
difficult. Well, yeah, these things illegal.
Like, this is not cool. You should not be doing this. You're not of age to be
No,
running across the floor.
but they didn't know. They just thought they saw the big kids do it, and immediately the high school kids saw it and heard of it. It's like, well, we want to do it too. And I was like, okay. I said, but this is how we're
Oh,
doing
now
this
you
stuff.
won't do it.
Yeah. And so for us, we've talked about winning earlier on and all that stuff. We took lumps everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Several years.
Oh yeah.
Man, oh man.
But we just kept getting better, and the kids got better, and I got better as designing it because, I didn't have a lot of staff. It was me by myself for several years, and then I dragged Will along with us. So it was me and him, and then for a couple years we had a couple friends that were willing to do it, and you can tell. Well, I told folks, it's like, I can't pay you. So if you're doing this for the experience of learning how to do one of these stuff.
Yeah.
And they obliged, and we came out of it, and we had a couple, really good things to come out of it. But the kids kept coming back because of the culture that was set. They knew that everybody that was in that ensemble wanted to be there.
Wanted to be there. That's a big thing. It's definitely wanting to be there.
That's the major difference of any line and consistency.
So, and they didn't mind being pushed. They didn't mind, driving to get better. And, after years of that consistency of that culture change, we slowly started to get better and slowly started to compete. And, you know how it is with anything, the right show out the right year, and that changes. And for us, that was the Boston Strong year.
Mm-hmm.
And we just came out and was like, this is what this is. And everybody's like, this is crazy. And I'm just like, I know, I'm living it. So you can do it. People, you can come out. Just don't think you have to just come out, because if you come out too high, then your expectations are too high, and you fizzle out. And Will's last group, well, the one the last line he was helping, kind of happened to them. He was helping them. He wasn't in charge. He didn't do it. It wasn't his fault. But they came out hot, meddled in the circuit, and then the next year they tried to do it again, thinking that was just going to happen every year. And
it ain't like that, man.
It ain't like that.
I will add, they had a lot of in-house stuff going on, but besides that, man, you just gotta. It's in it, and we've said this a lot of times, especially for schools, back home, back in Kentucky. And this applies to any school in any state, anywhere. Man, you gotta get your mind out of what you see is winning. And because there's a lot of schools that are like, well, I'm not going to come out until we're ready to compete with that, then you ain't never coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Move.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, because the moment you even remotely think you're ready, the entire organization, the sport itself has already moved.
Yeah.
Past what you thought.
Or you do come out that one time, but you've been working towards that like the next year you don't have any kids anymore.
That too. And there's a lot of scenarios. Now, I'm not saying that you can't come out and still, blow the house down. You can still come out and do some damage. But if you're waiting for those moments, you're setting yourself up for failure. The best thing you can do is take notes of what you see, design for your group, and just be the best that you can be. Allow the numbers to take place where they take, and then go from there. Take whatever you can get from the judges, ask friends, family, other instructors, other teachers, send tapes to folks. A lot of judges will take a tape. A lot of other staff people from other schools, man, get in contact with them, say, hey, man, you mind, picking this apart? What's wrong with this? Blah, blah, blah. There are lots of avenues to go to to get yourself ready or to just be good in general. But it's not going to help if you wait. You know what I'm saying? You can't be scared to do it, and don't think you got to spend millions and millions and thousands of dollars to do stuff, man. If I was to tell people the minimalistic budget from my last year with Russellville when we did Da Vinci, we had a whole lot of stuff on that floor. You would have thought that we had a lot of people put in. Man, it would you can blow dust out of that pocket. For that kind of budget, we had people bringing in all kinds of the stuff. Half the stuff we used was mine. Like I literally owned it, and then we made a lot of it, and we made the floor work for us. And so there's you just got to reach out, talk to folks, see what they do. How do you do this? And a lot of stuff. And it's funny, even people who are watching this, even if you want to know, Music City Mystique still cuts corners. It's a top 5 WGI independent world multiple champion that takes and does things on the cheap end that look world class, because we're all pinching pennies, man.
And if it ain't gonna work for them, they won't use it.
They won't use it.
If it's not gonna do what they want it to do,
they're not gonna buy it.
They're not gonna buy it.
It's gotta be well worth it. It's gotta be longevity. It's gotta like example, like a TV or something. If we're going to use a TV, I need the TV to cut on and off on demand, work 100% of the time. If it's not going to do that, then it's one of those things where there's like, yeah, we're not going to mess with it, right? So they're going to want everything to work properly all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, but the other stuff that you see, you go to Home Depot, you go to Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So it's you got assured there are plenty of stuff out there though, man, that obviously does cost a grip. But don't think that you have to do certain things to do it, man. Because if people knew what our screen was made out of at East, woo, boy, hey, we made that joint work. Come on now.
Got a sheet and some duct tape.
Listen,
basically. I forgot a shower curtain. We found a frame, and I had a projector from the school. And
I mean, you want to talk about that kind of stuff, and even Mystique cutting corner stuff. Wasn't the huge drum they did for Mantra? Wasn't it just the trampoline?
The trampoline. That's all it was. Painted trampoline, or not painted, but printed, whatever. Or they had whatever the emblem on it. Yeah, it's just trampoline. It's just trampoline. Because how else would, you know what I'm saying? You get creative, and it gives off the illusion of this, and this, and then until you find out what it really is, and then you're like, "Are you serious? That's all y'all used?" Yeah, that's all it was. Get you a bunch of paper towel rolls and paint them white.
Yeah.
From a distance, it's gonna look fantastic. So it's like. You just gotta not be scared. Send a message, because that's what I did. A lot of people don't understand. I sent a message to was it Matrix? I sent a message to a lot of people, Alyala at the time when they did the screen TVs, when we were trying to figure out the screens. Like I don't know these people.
No.
All I know is you used it, so therefore I'm gonna be in your DMs. And the worst you can do is say no or not get a response. That's it.
I'll say most people will at least answer you. Even if it's
I got an answer from every single one. And
even if it's I don't know, I wasn't one of the ones who did that. That was there when I got there. Like even at that, most people will answer you. And so just not being scared to reach out and be like, yo, this is going on, or can this be how can we do this?
Mm-hmm.
It's a community thing, and like you said, you can't let your ego get in the way. You can't, I've asked a lot of questions. I've asked for a lot of help. I've borrowed instruments from folks a lot.
I'm like the king of that.
Yeah, it's just you do what it takes to make it work for your kids, and and they'll appreciate it. The kids appreciate it, and the people involved will appreciate it. And we hope you get yourself in a position where you can, Will, you remember where we were at, and then what we had when we first started, and then I look at this past week, we're able to supply enough percussion equipment to run 2 all district rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just slowly piece stuff together.
Yeah.
And like, okay, we got enough to buy a marimba now. Let's get a marimba. All right, we got enough to buy a vibe now.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Now let's get a decent set of bells. Okay,
Yep.
cool. All right, and now we have enough stuff to do stuff. And do I still borrow stuff? Yeah, I have to borrow a balance station from a local high school around here because ours broke. I'm trying to get it. But it takes time. I mean, I think this is year 16 or 17 for the group this year,
and that's what's tough, because a lot of people, they just get in their minds that they have to do it all here or right now, and this, that, and they don't want to have to deal with the journey or so. And what's crazy is, like, think of it like marching band season. It's like, oh man, it's gonna be a long season. By the third show, season's over. And all that time done passed, and you done complain, and it's like, man, the season's already over. Who was you mad for?
Yeah.
So it's like, by the time you get everything, because all I know is I kept coming to you and Klein about them drums. I was like, Cedric, I'm putting lugs on top of lugs to tighten these heads with. It's not working, bro. Them were the tightest snares. I don't know how they even played on them joints. But I was like, I went to 2 different music stores. I talked to like 3 different people, and I got the best price, lowest price that I humanly possibly could to get them drums. And I was like, look, man, this is an investment. I was like, and I went to them. I was like, this is what I found. This is what we can get. And the good thing about it, even that type and that brand, if you need another one, you can get it. But it's one of those things, man. But it was time. But what? I went 3 years on them old ones, I think. So it ain't like it.
What's crazy is when we got those Maybachs at the high school, I took the Yamahas to the middle school on this way. So when we got extra funds from COVID,
and then you got the new ones that
I got a new middle school line for $6,000, and we use it once a year for the parade. And that's it.
See, there it is.
It'll last forever because and if the high school needs some more drums for something, they can use ours. So it works out pretty well. And we're starting a fundraiser next week actually, and he's talking about if they hit enough, he's gonna replace the high school line.
Well,
and we don't have a marching unit. That's the thing. He just knows if we're gonna use them for football games, it's nice to have nice stuff that we can use. So, but yeah. So I don't know, smaller folks, smaller groups or newer groups, because some groups are just new. Kind of keep all this stuff in mind. Like, I know one of the cool things that happened for me was like getting on the education team for Innovate. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I filled out the application. It's like, yeah, you're in. I'm like, man, I don't know what this does.
Yeah, I'm an endorser with Salyers, and like Bruce is really good about that kind of stuff too. Like, I contacted him asking about making a because I've been trying to get a certain pair of sticks made for years.
The sticks you showed me.
Like I'm still working on some of that stuff. So I've been like, I was talking to him about it, and he was just like, I can't do that, but do you want to be on the education team? Sure.
Absolutely.
And so but I did that with my schools. So like, I individually am still okay to do whatever I need as far as sticks go, because he doesn't make a model of everything. But my schools are still on it. And so like, yeah, like try. Like there's worst things gonna happen is they're gonna be like, we're not looking for anybody right now.
That's it.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, it's been about an hour. It's been a good hour, man. But we can, feel free to, especially for newer folks, you know, like you don't have to have a sponsor. Does it help? Yeah, it does. But like ultimately, like put get put get a good culture running for your group. If it's, especially if they're small, they need to be the tightest group of people, with good work ethic. And then make sure you have good educators around them that want them to be better, and don't worry about the score, man.
Yeah.
Because you can have a fantastic run, and the tapes can sound fantastic and be great, and bebop a 35, and
time.
I mean,
living proof.
I remember our kids were so hyped when we broke 80 the first time, and it wasn't a good run.
That sound about East.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
we'd be mad.
Listen,
like,
listen, man.
I don't want it. Give it back. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
I'd be like,
deserve that.
Like, the judges obviously heard something I didn't hear, or didn't hear something I heard, because I'd be like, that wasn't an 80 run. No, no offense, like it's a fine run. Y'all do what
Yeah.
Be glad that y'all scored what y'all scored. Be hyped about your number. But at the end of the day, like, it's a number.
Yeah. After doing it so long, I'm just like, all right, where was everybody else at? Because I remember, because we, being a concert group and being an A-class concert group, we're typically one of the first groups on. So I'll just tell the kids, like, I don't know, they probably may hold scores. So, like, you may throw it down and get a 65 today. Like, just, but see where everybody else is. And it happened. I think it happened last year, maybe 2 years ago. But, like, come out, we won our class with a 66. But then you look at everybody else, 62, 61. Yeah. It's like they had to compare what everybody else is doing to you. So, yeah, the number might not have been desirable, but you were still one of the better things that they heard that day. And you went on first or second. So, it's hard to put that first number down. So I always tell the kids, it's like, just the number is what it is. Like, what's the commentary saying? Is it improving things, or is it the same stuff that we're hearing week after week? And we just kind of go from there. And then, we'll take head up matchups, for what they are.
I always use numbers. Numbers and placement are, for me, are just that. They're just numbers and placement. It doesn't tell you how good or bad you are. It doesn't say how good or bad your run was. And I use this as an example. Had a friend was in DC, went and competed in DCI INE. Scored a 99.5 on snare. And was second. Like you can look him up, Naoki Ishikawa. I mean, he's a multi-year. I mean, he's an INE champ, March Devs, Cavies, multi-year PASIC champ. Like, I think 2-3 years in a row, PASIC snare champ. Like, Naoki is a monster. Naoki scored a 99.5 in INE one year and placed second. What else do you do? Like,
man, you good.
Like, you weren't that good, but you was good.
he I think I forgot who beat him. It wasn't Evie. It might have been, anyway, whoever beat him scored a 99.7. Like 0.2 of a point.
Like, man, yeah, we didn't really like that stick change, but
you blinked one too many times.
You blinked in the wrong spot, and
there's just one too many diddles.
So that being the case, like I can't get behind placements anyway. If it was a real placement, if this was a real competition, it was a real placement, we'd all be playing and doing the same thing.
And that's that's a whole completely different podcast. But you can talk about the philosophical, why are there music competitions, type of deals, because that is the thing that people talk about. And I personally don't mind competition. I think it's all in how you shape it and how you mold it and how you present it to other folks. I always say iron sharpens iron. It does you no good to compete against people that that you're just
You're
gonna
better than.
hammer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does you no good. So but I, but music is an art, and art in theory is not supposed to be judged, it's supposed to be enjoyed. But just like anything in society,
if
we turn
if
into
it
a
is
competition.
if it is marketable, it will be
Yeah,
competitive. So
no.
and
so
and I mean, I have nothing against like people who compete and who want to compete who do that kind of stuff. I have nothing against them or that. Just for me, like I said, if I am really trying to see who is the better group, then I feel we would all be playing the same thing. We'd all have the same numbers and we'd all be judged from the same criteria, right?
yeah,
Um, but what that doesn't mean for me is, it's like I tell my kids, when we come off the field or off the floor, we are upset that it wasn't our best run,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
regardless of what the numbers are, because you can win, like you said, you can walk out bebop at 35 and win.
yeah,
Um, you could walk out and have your best run, drop a 99.5, obviously, and not win. like if
huge.
you could be 5/10 away from a perfect score, and that means that there are 5 groups that could sneak in ahead of you.
Yeah,
And so for me, it is we compare ourselves to others only in they do this better than us. We need to get better to do that. And so like I'm okay with the idea of ultimate competition. It's just not me. I'm just
yeah,
not a very competitive person. I am very much if I'm not doing my best, I'm upset with myself anyway. Like it doesn't matter what anybody else says and does or what number I get with it. So therefore, I personally just am not very competitive when it comes to that. But I also get it because nobody wants to walk out there and just get dropped on the whole time, you know?
Right. Right.
But the other thing is, and especially what smaller groups is, you can't be scared of that happening.
No.
I'm telling you, be 10 points better than everybody else. If we looked at as equal, and you'll be fine. So, well, we're gonna get off here before it end up being 5 hours.
Literally.
Because it could happen. So, but let us know in the comments below if you have any questions or comments about, running a small group or how to become an education artist with a particular company, because we've talked about that a little bit, or how to start a group, or kind of philosophies and things like that, because you have to know your kids ultimately. Some kids are uber competitive and they want you to be and go after it, and then some kids just need to know how to function in an ensemble setting and to get better. So know your kids and know the best way to handle that situation. There's a lot of shows starting this week. Hopefully have this up before Saturday. Um, if not, there's some shows that happened this past weekend and some more that's happening this coming up week. So there you go.
All in the past.
It's coming so yeah, so it's a really, really cool time, really fun time. Check out the show in your local circuit if you're around. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure you hit the like, comment, share, and subscribe button and all that good stuff. While it's free, 90 free, and it's dropping stuff everywhere. Um, but yeah, Randy, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a minute.
Uh-oh.
It's me.
I was gonna say you sounded like a robot for a minute.
Yeah, you roboted out for a second.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll say it. I don't know if you heard me. I said, Renzi, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. It's been a minute.
Definitely. We need to do this again.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So, get you
Get on
on.
or react. See?
Yeah.
Beat you.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So cool. Yeah, we don't get out of here. So for Will and Orinzie, my name is Cedric. It's been another episode of On the Backlash Perc Talk. You guys take care. Go watch the show and all that good stuff. We got
Practice.
Yeah, practice.
Go practice.
All right, peace.